Hello, hello. So that was a disaster with the audio. It was so strange because I know a thing or two about audio here, and for some reason, the audio just didn't work on that YouTube. So I've got my podcast microphone and I can hear myself. So YouTube, this better work. But anyways, I'm coming at you live today just to talk about the latest Shred Strong program updates, weeks 9 through 10. So you are already halfway through. Kudos. This is amazing. And I'd like to go ahead and share just how excited I am for you all to be getting PRs on your climbs, PRs on a lot of segments that you all are sharing with me in private messages and things like that. That just gets me completely ramped up. I know even for myself, I've even been PRing sections and rides in general. And it's very strange because I haven't done any of the interval work. I've just been doing strength. I actually haven't done any cardio these last few weeks, except if I go out to actually ride and things like that. And I'm doing that on purpose because I have some things that I'm kind of working on right now, specifically for my own goals. So my own goals might be a little bit different than yours, and that's totally fine. But I'm just really excited for everyone. I'm also excited for Kara and others who are racing and who are experiencing some really good results from that. Okay, so I'm going to be answering some questions for you all about the program that you have sent to me, and this should be fairly succinct, but if you have any follow-up questions, let me know. You can email me at jen@shifthumanperformance.com or just comment on this video, whatever works for you, okay? So the first question that I did get was, what's the purpose behind the tempo work? I love it as I could feel the muscles even more. This is great because tempo work does help with that mind-muscle connection, and that is really important for actually developing your musculature and increasing your strength as effectively and efficiently as possible, no matter how advanced you are as a lifter, okay? I've been lifting for about 20, 30 plus years, actually over 30 years. And I will say tempo work is one thing that really helps me up the ante, really helps me increase my progress overall and my performance overall with a reduced amount of injury, which is fantastic. So, with that being said, tempo work, it does help you with that mind-muscle connection, which is why you're probably feeling your muscles even more because you're slowing down your tempo a little bit more and you're just becoming aware of the muscles that are actually moving. So this is fantastic to actually hear. Now, what's the purpose behind the tempo work? This is because this Shred Strong program is a progressive overload program, which does help you progress over time succinctly and safely with, increases in incremental amounts in terms of resistance and weight and reps and things like that. And because you, especially for those of you working out at home who don't necessarily have a full access to a full entire gym, this is going to be really important, to do tempo work because it does help increase some tension. So time under tension is how the muscle is actually built, or that's how strength is ultimately built, is increasing your time under tension. And tempo works does help that exact thing because you are increasing that time under tension with the actual movement. So case in point, it just helps you, increase your strength in a progressively overloaded program. And it does also help you really bulletproof your joints, ligaments, tendons, and things like that in a safe manner because you are slowing down the tempo. You're really getting in touch with the mind-muscle connection, and you're really enhancing that time under tension to help you with, ultimately just getting your ligaments, tendons, muscles strong. It's magical. I love tempo work. Plus, it helps you really work on form effectively, which is incredibly important for a lot of people. All right, so second question. For the RIR stuff, or reps in reserve, as you all know, for the RIR stuff that has a range, should we shoot for the highest weight doable that gets us making it to the top end of the range, or the highest weight possible that gets us barely surviving at the lower end of the range? Or any explanation regarding this would be helpful. I'd love to help with this. Pia asked this question, and I love this question because it's a very valid question. Ultimately, it really depends on your current goals. So with your current goals, ask yourself, would you rather be working on strength right now or a little bit more muscular endurance? Muscular endurance is basically your ability of your body to perform at a higher rep scheme regardless of the weight. So, generally speaking, the weight will be a little bit lighter, but it just helps. It helps you. Honestly, it does help with mountain biking, because in mountain biking, we are constantly turning over our pedals. So muscular endurance is going to be effective anyways, but Right now, ultimately, personally, I prefer having a strength, gain period of time. Right now, looking at the grand 12 months in your program, if you were doing strength training year round, which is, of course, ideal, excuse me, the winter time is going to be really effective for ultimately increasing your strength. So personally, I would err on the side of increasing strength. So in order to do that, what I would suggest is to aim for the higher weight and the lower end of the spectrum for the IRR. IRIR. Words are hard right now. And that's because that ultimately would help you increase strength. Now, of course, you will be increasing strength at the higher end of the spectrum, but you will be tending to be a little bit more on the muscular endurance side of things. So it's just something to consider. But I mean, ultimately, I would personally go for heavier as long as form is good. So go for the heavier weight, lower reps, but keep the form nice and good. Okay. When I talk about form, I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to really focus on your back. Just keeping your spine nice and neutral. That's why I'm probably like berating everyone to death. And I don't mean to do it, in a berating way. I think I'm doing it in a nice way, but who knows? But that's why I'm so cautious of or cognizant of your back health, looking at the times that you are sitting, especially deadlift and squat videos, which is why I ask for them quite often. Just, looking at your back and making sure that your back is as neutral as possible, because the more neutral that your spine is, the more effective, of course, the movement will be, because then you're engaging your core, and also the less likely you are to injure yourself, because of course the back, it's a vulnerable part for us as humans. We are vertebrate animals, so it's incredibly important for us. And I just want to keep everyone's back feeling nice and healthy. And it's also because if the back isn't in a nice position throughout the movement, generally speaking, you are going to be moving effectively for the most part, or at least safely. And that's my ultimate goal, is to keep everyone as safe as possible at home. Okay. Um, Question number 3. Is there such a thing as stressing too much? Yes, there is such a thing as stressing too much. Is there such a thing as stretching too much or too aggressively? Are there limits when you are older, quote unquote, not my words, her words? I have been really, really trying to increase my flexibility since the middle of last year. I don't have flexible jeans. And when I started, I was not able to touch my toes, but now I can. Awesome work. I'm really trying to push it. But want to make sure it's not counterproductive. This is a really good question. So with stretching, yes, there is such a thing as a little bit too much. And basically, you can overstretch. And how you overstretch is when you're actually inducing pain. So if you are creating an amount of pain in the actual movement or in the actual stretching movement, you want to back off a little bit. Okay. There will be a level of discomfort because you are stretching your musculature and your joints and your ligaments, tendons, things like that. Things are being stretched to their end range. So there will be a little bit of discomfort, but if it's bordering on the verge of pain, then you definitely want to go ahead and, slow your roll a little bit, kind of pull back on the gas pedal, then, loosen up on the stretch, and then maybe go back into it. Maybe even consider making it a little bit more of a dynamic stretch where you are going in and out of the end range in a little bit more of a movement or dynamic scenario. Um, you know, Personally, I think stretching is fantastic, especially since you weren't able to touch your toes and now you are. Like, that is fantastic in and of itself, because that does really help with that lumbar pelvic region and hamstrings, stretching, and just overall the ability to actually move through the entire movement in daily life. So that will also help you with your on the bike health as well as off the bike health. So definitely keep up your stretching, but just try not to be too aggressive. If you are causing any pain or massive amount of discomfort, then you might want to check yourself, okay? But definitely keep it up. I would recommend it, especially after any type of strength training program. Before a strength training program, however, I don't really recommend any type of stretching unless it is dynamic stretching and not necessarily static stretching, because that is actually that will give you a little bit more of a negative consequence, because you're not able to recruit your muscles as effectively as possible when you're doing any type of static stretching. And static stretching is when you're holding a stretch for a certain period of time. okay, versus dynamic stretching like I talked about earlier, where you're going into the end range of the stretch and then you're backing off a little bit and then you're going into the end range again, and so on and so forth, if that makes sense. So, let me know if you have any other follow-up questions based on that. But yeah, those are the questions that I have, that I had given, or that I had been given rather, over the last week or so. So if there are any follow-up questions to these questions, let me know. If I didn't explain anything as clearly as possible, let me know as well. But one thing I did want to go ahead and dive into is the timing of everything. So the timing in terms of your actual ability to get your workouts done, because I know some of you have kids, you have busy life, you have, your own businesses and things like that to run. And that can obviously induce a fair amount of stress on your actual body, as well as stress on your schedule. And the last thing I want is this to actually be an incredibly stressful experience in terms of you, not really being able to fit in the workouts, okay? So if you're having difficulty fitting in the workouts, I do still recommend getting in days 1 and 2 in terms of your strength training program, okay? So the deadlift and row, as well as the squat and press, or what have you. So however, if you're not able to do all of the movements in the actual workout, that's perfectly fine. What I would recommend is going ahead, spending, set a clock, spend 2 to 3 minutes on the first section, the first superset, which is only 2 sets anyways, and it's a bandit movement, and it's really meant to work kind of upper back muscles, for example, and really get you into the movement that you're going to be doing for the rest of the workout. So go ahead and spend 2 to 3 minutes doing those movements. Then what I would do is, after that, then you're going into the main movement, the main lift of the workout. And I do this on purpose because I don't want to fill a lot of your intro movements in your workout. I don't want to fill it up with just extra crap before you actually get to the main movement, because that's counterproductive and it's counterintuitive too for programming. So I do it pretty quickly to get you into your actual movement on purpose, because ultimately I want you to get to your deadlifts. I want you to get to your squats, because those are going to be the main movements that you're needing for ultimate strength and capability on and off the bike. So go ahead and do the first superset. Again, set your clock for 2 to 3 minutes. Just spend 2 to 3 minutes doing that. Then 10 to 15 minutes is how long the second superset should take, which is going to be your sumo deadlifts or your goblet squats or things like that. So again, set the clock for maybe 10 to 15 minutes, bust out however much you can. Do take advantage of the rest periods, because the more you're able to rest, at least 60 seconds or more, the more you're able to show up for the preceding sets. So do keep that in mind, especially if you are feeling a little bit more fatigued, or maybe you slept like crap the night before. That will actually really help you in those rest periods to really effectively show up for the next sets, especially as you are increasing your weights, especially these next couple weeks with the sumo deadlift as well as goblet squats. And then benching, if you're doing any benching in the barbell program and things like that. Now, once you get through the intro, the first superset, just kind of your warm-up superset, and then your main strength set, which is usually deadlifts and squats and bench and things like that, then you're going into a couple of additional supersets, which are more accessory type of work. Now, with these accessory type of movements, honestly, it's up to you. Of course, I would really recommend doing all of the things. But if time is of the essence and schedule is kind of stressful for you right now, and maybe you're just not feeling it, maybe motivation is low, I've been there, then go ahead and just do what you can, even if it's just 1 or 2 sets of the next superset, followed by maybe just doing a little bit of an arm burnout. So it's totally up to you, but, just to let you know, do the first couple of movements, the first couple of supersets rather, and you're going to see a good amount of change there. And if you're able to fit in the core and shoulders, shoulder workouts, that's even better. That is an incredible amount of, icing on the cake, because honestly, that is what's really going to help bulletproof your shoulders, because our shoulders as mountain bikers are incredibly vulnerable, especially if we do crash, speaking from personal experience. And I know a lot of you have also experienced this as well with shoulder dislocations and AC dislocations and things like that. So I'm really trying to effectively incorporate some shoulder strengthening movements that will help you offset any potential injury, as well as bulletproof your shoulders. Now, of course, core is going to be the most important thing that you can do on and off the bike, really, for any type of sport. And, These core movements are meant to take about 20 minutes or less. So hopefully those are even more effective for you to fit into your schedule. All right. If you have any questions about anything, let me know. But the next couple of weeks of the program is basically going to see us advance these last couple of weeks that we've been working on. You're going to see a little bit of an increase in the percentages that I want you to aim for, in terms of whatever your maximum is for that day, then try to get to 90%, try to almost get to about 100% of what you just lifted. And that's on purpose because, again, this is a progressive overload program, and we really want to see you keep progressing. All right. On that note, I'm out of here. Thanks for sticking with me. The audio just didn't work on the first one, but hopefully the audio is working on this one because I'm speaking through my baby here. Again, if you have any questions, let me know. I am only an email away or a comment or a message away. You can message me in the app. You can comment here on the video. You can also email me again at jen@shifthumanperformance.com. I'm here for you all. And I love hearing about the PRs. Please keep them coming. And I love seeing everyone's workouts pop up in my newsfeed in the app and seeing you all just get strong and feel more confident. I love the comments and messages I'm getting from you all about how, my shoulder mobility, it wasn't that great the first week, but man, I'm already seeing a difference the second week. And that just makes me so incredibly happy for you all. Anyways, hugs to you all, and have a beautiful Thursday. And let me know if you have any follow-up questions.